The keynote speech by David Cameron marks the end of the conference, and Jim Hancock was watching that speech along with us. Jim, the party's over. The hard work begins now, though.
Oh, yes. I mean, I think all week they've been told not to be complacent. They did 117 seats. Most of those seem to be in the northwest of England. They've got to win those seats, so they've been told not to be complacent, and they've got to go back and now actually make sure it happens. But, I mean, it has been a serious conference. I mean, we talked yesterday about what David Cameron would do today. We were talking about the need to sort of lift their spirits. He did that to some extent, but I think the strategy between the two big hitters, George Osborne on Tuesday was to give the policy content, and today we got the "you need to get to know me" speech from David Cameron. I thought, in a sense, the most significant thing he said was all the policies we can lay out, but governments are affected by events that I can't predict, and therefore you need to know what sort of person I am. And so we got that highly personal stuff about his son Ivan, who sadly died. Some people will still doubt the wisdom of making such personal comments in the speech. And we also got this, we've got to help the poorest as well. So there was a sort of compassion in there, but there was also, I think, more of a get to know me.
I mean, that talk about unpredictable events, it gives him a bit of a get-out clause if he does go on to form the next government.
Yes, it does, it does. I mean, what I also found interesting was how he accepted some of the things that Labour had done, and some of those things would cause some queasiness amongst some people in the Conservative Party. He accepted devolution to Scotland and Wales, something the Tories bitterly fought against, but he also had a swipe at regional government. I've been talking to someone elsewhere today about the future of the Regional Development Agency in the North West, and it looks pretty sick. The Chambers of Commerce, Greater Manchester person, a source who I spoke to there, said they can't wait to get rid of the RDA, and I think that's what the Tories seem to be aiming to do. Minimum wage he praised, something that the Conservatives bitterly opposed, and also civil partnerships, said that was a good thing from Labour. But it was upbeat, let's go to the top of the mountain, let's see how it could be, and even all that reference to all the sport we've got to look forward to, that was the sort of the upbeat part of the message.
So was there anything missing?
Well, I mean, the fact is that George Osborne has announced these various measures, austerity measures, but it only begins to scratch the surface of the debt. And one wondered whether there should have been more recognition of the sort of mountain that they've got to climb on that front. Also, inheritance tax. There's beginning to be increasing criticism about this continuing commitment to actually relieve people of inheritance tax over £1 million, feeling that it's... I mean, I heard Peter Oborne, who's a right-wing columnist, saying at a fringe meeting here last night that it would be cruel and obscene for the Conservatives to cut inheritance tax when they were having to cut and freeze public sector pay. So there was no reference, I noticed, in the speech to that, and also nothing about what's going to happen on Europe when this treaty, as it surely will be actually enforced by the time the Conservatives come to office. OK,
well, there were lots of things that perhaps did prove controversial. One thing seeming to unite people is that Manchester was a good venue for this conference.
Oh, yes, I think, all the people from Greater Manchester are really proud of what's happened. I mean, we've had 3 out of the 4 days the weather's been good. I think people have liked the fact they've been able to spill out from here into a full-blown city where they can go to all the restaurants with every diet, every dish they could possibly want from all over the world. They've thoroughly enjoyed that. The one downside, I would say, is this, because it's been such a huge conference. I mean, there have been speculation that certainly today there were up to 17,000 people within the security cordon, and certainly consistently up to 12,000 people, whether some of the fringe meeting venues have been a bit small. I mean, I personally, even me, have been not been able to get into a couple of fringe meetings because they're pretty small meeting rooms, and they've actually consciously apparently made the main hall have less seats than they needed in order to make it look absolutely packed. But that's a small criticism. It's been a huge triumph, and for both Labour and the Conservatives now, Manchester is absolutely on the conference venue.
OK, Jim Hancock, thanks for those insights into that keynote speech and for your insights over the whole of the conference. Thank you.